70s, about mid-70s. As you know, 60s and 70s were the period of lots of challenging the system, challenging the conventional knowledge. And this was, as you know, this is called the year of rebellion. Many people started to question what we always believed to be true. And any of you who know anything about the field of family therapy, it was the beginning of 60s and 70s, based on the work of people like J. Haley, certainly work of Milton Erickson, John Wickman, Don Jackson. Lots of these people started to question, where does the schizophrenia come from? And there was a beginning of that. Rather than always looking to blame mother for someone's schizophrenia, and we always did that in those days. It was, we all thought it was our mother's fault. And rather than that, this group of people in Palo Alto started looking at communication pattern rather than what did the mother do wrong with this person, therefore this person ended up being schizophrenic. Rather than that, and so this was a time. The cultural background is very important, the cultural context. I'd like to mention to you that we need to understand where did this come from. And so this was the days challenging all the very important belief system that is supposed to be sort of, we have accepted blindly, started to question. And so the team of us in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it's a very, I would say about, it's not a big city by American standard. Any of you who have not been there, it's about a million and a quarter now, but in those days it was really certainly under 1 million population in that area. And it was also known as the beer capital. And also, that's the home of a Harley motorcycle, Harley-Davidson motorcycle parties. A combination of beer and a Harley, you can imagine. Anyway, the group of us, we used to call ourselves a gang of 6. There were 6 of us in a secret group because we all held jobs in different places. And we didn't want our bosses to know that we are having this secret meeting, a gang of 6. And so we had 4 partners who were sort of came out in the open, And then we had 2 silent partners because they were afraid that somebody, their boss found out they may lose their job. So they wanted to remain a silent partner, but they will come, all 6 of us will get together at least once or twice a week and started seeing cases together. And our job at the time, we didn't know what we were doing. We really didn't know what we were doing. We just knew what we didn't like, but we didn't know what we want. Because what we wanted did not exist yet. So we decided to somehow figure out what might be the best way, the most effective and efficient way to we can help our clients with. That's the beginning of our idea. And we didn't, so we met secretly. And also at the time, newsletter titled Underground Railroad was started. And the first and only editor of the Underground Railroad was Steve DeShazer. And we started circulating the newsletter around the world. And the people became very, very interested in what we were doing. place like Milwaukee, it's not a glamorous city. It's not like San Francisco, New York, or even Los Angeles. It's just a small Midwestern town, very much working class town. And we used to have lots of factory workers and lots of working class kind of people. That's why, you know, the beer and the working class, somehow we thought that they went together. Anyway, so we started, we became more and more intrigued by what we wanted to do. So we did lots of experiments. Some worked, some didn't. Lots of it didn't work. So anything that didn't work, we just threw it out, and we kept thinking about what works. So in the that went on about 2-3 years, and then one day we decided that we are ready, as a group, we are ready to start our own office, our own center. But we didn't have any money. If you want to rent an office, this is still very true in America. You have to guarantee that you will rent this office for 5 years. We didn't know that our group is going to last 5 years. And so we decided we just cannot take that kind of risk because we were all working people. We had to have an income coming in every month in order to live. And so we decided we're going to use our house. And our house, our living room, became an office. You can imagine. And we started seeing clients in our living room. And we live in a fairly middle class, sort of professional type of people live in that neighborhood. There is it's all residential area. Very nice, well-kept, clean neighborhood. And clients started coming in and out of our door. And many of them were not the type that would be our friends coming in and out visiting us. We did a lot of work with the homeless, a lot of work with the juvenile delinquents, clients who have committed a lot of crime, adults who have committed a lot of crime. We had worked with those kinds of people. Because when we first started the center, we had to let people know in the Milwaukee area that we are here. And we didn't know how to let people know because we didn't know anything about marketing. We had no idea. We didn't know how to, we never went into business before. None of us, 6 of us, have always been salaried workers. And so we always depended on this regular paycheck. So then we didn't know. So we started advertising, going around and telling people, send us your most difficult cases. Send us your case from hell. That was our advertisement. And that is that any good case, the easy to work with case, you can keep those cases. But any cases that are troublesome for you, send them on, send them to us. So we started specializing in the most difficult, what is called the difficult cases. And when we started talking to them, they weren't that difficult people at all. We were just amazed how easy, how cooperative, how lovable people they were. So we thought, there's something here. And so then we started, Steve DeShaver was the writer of the group of us. Of the 6 people, he was the only person who had any paper published by mid-70s. And so he started writing about, he was a very good writer, so he started writing about what we were doing. And then we started seeing clients in our living room. We didn't have a one-way window. We didn't have an office with a mirror. Because there's somebody's ordinary living room. our dining room table became our office. So we had these files piled up and all the work we had to do. And we began to realize that because the volume of clients coming in and out was so heavy, that we could get in trouble with the city because we didn't have a license to do business in our neighborhood. Because you have to have a license. So we couldn't do that. So we started then, maybe this is time that we could afford to rent an office. So we did, and of course we didn't have any money to put down because they want 5-year guaranteed rent, as well as monthly expense. You're going to have a telephone, you have to have a telephone bill, you have to have a secretary, you have to have this, and all of these things you have to have. But most of all, we wanted to have a one-way window, and the camera, video camera, was a very exciting new things that just coming out. So we all 6 of us contributed $500 each, and that was our initial investment money. So we had about $3,000. And then we went to the bank because we wanted to establish a credit as a business. So we went to the bank, we loaned for $3,000 so that we could buy video equipment. And we started taping the sessions. And then we started having some interesting development along the team. Sometimes when we saw these cases, teams didn't agree with each other. So we didn't know how to handle that. How do you, when you see things, for example, I remember one case, client was sent by here for a doctor. The doctor said she was obese. She was really obese. I mean, I'm not going to give her overweight, it doesn't go obese. This big. And the client was very, very depressed. And so then the client says, I cannot do anything to do exercise until I feel better. So the client's idea was, I have to feel better in order to lose weight. She never thought about the other way. Maybe if I start to exercise, I'll feel better. Then I will get to exercise more. So this became a huge argument among the team. You go from this way or this way. The concept of a cause and effect. This is the cause. Client thought that her cause, she was depressed, and this depression was the cause of her being overweight. We thought the other way, that perhaps if you exercise more, even though you are still depressed, you might feel better. So we started arguing about this. And that was the beginning of me recognizing, my goodness, there are indeed lots of these kind of cases. We always thought that A causes B to happen. And if you want to change the B, somehow you have to go back and change A. And we said, no. Yes, that's true. Sometimes it works that way. Sometimes it also works the other way. You change something about B, and somehow C will happen. And so this was kind of debate we used to have a very, very intense, very serious debate. That was the beginning of that. And then I had a lady who was sent to me. It was a label. The client says she and her husband came, and he says his wife is a nymphomaniac. You know what nymphomaniac is? We don't use those kind of words anymore. But that means this woman is oversexed. She wants sex all the time. And we started listening to them. And she says, well, if you only give me more sex, then I don't have to demand it from you. And then he will say, if you only don't demand, I will be able to give you, I will be able to have sex more often with you. So they were making back and forth and fighting about this. There's an example of that. So those are the kinds of cases we saw, many of those kind of cases. So that was the beginning of thinking, oh my goodness. And then of course along the way, we discovered about exceptions. This lady who was so oversexed, she herself said that, I am a nymphomaniac. And there were times where she did not have to demand sex from her husband. How did that happen? So the beginning concept of exceptions, the problem, began with the client. So we have to keep going back. This is what client taught us, that people think this way, back and forth this way. There's no right way, one way. There are always two ways. Right? That's why we say both and, yes and end, rather than yes and but. Right? So it's the beginning of those kind of concepts. Then, so along the way, in about 82, we learned about the miracle question. I'm sure you remember about it. And that was the beginning of, again, we are so excited that every client who walks through the door, will always ask them about miracle picture. Suppose there is a miracle, and all your problem then brought you here, the soul is all disappeared. What would be there? What do you think you would do then that you're not doing right now? These are the kind of questions we began to ask. And so our 6 of us continued as a gang, as a group. 2 people eventually dropped out because they moved to different parts of the country, went for a better job and better opportunity and so on. But we kept going and going and going and going, and this is where things are at right now. So what you are hearing and what you are learning right now in this 2006 is a 30-year, the result of a 30-year of evolving. We did not start out this way. We started not knowing what we were doing, and then we started keep doing more experiment, more trial and error. And then what you are hearing now, especially during these next 2 days, is the 30 years of work